Me, I won't even want to pass through the farm. Talk more of going to actually bend down and farm. So,
will I say crude oil? Will I say it's a cause? I wouldn't say it's a cause, but I believe it's one of the reasons why Naira fell, because of we're not dependent on the exportation of crude oil mainly.
hello, welcome to another wonderful episode. I am your host, your Esther Dosi, and today we have a very interesting topic to talk about. When I say interesting, I mean a topic that is challenging to every Nigerian, whether old, young, youth, anyone. We're talking about the Naira. What happened to our Naira? But before we go further, I'm here with my fellow hosts.
Hello, what's up, people? My name is Osado Rita, and today our topic is really, really interesting because it affects everybody, small everybody. It affects everybody in the country. And guess what? I'm not the financial guru. I'm the one that's going to ask questions today.
Okay, we are also here with our wonderful host. Like she said, she's not going to be the one to talk about it. Neither will I be the one. I beg, go make her no come talk with you. I don't know. So we are here with a financial analyst, an economist, and I believe he has all the information, all the answer. We'll go ask you questions today. So, sir, can we get to meet you?
All right, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Chinanu Ngobri. Yes. I have experience in the financial sector. Yeah, and we're here to provide solutions to things that affect us generally. To me, it's a privilege to be here, and I'm really excited about that. Thank you very much.
You're welcome, sir. So let's run back to the good old days, the golden era, where dollar was not even Naira's meat, when Nigerians were seen as the rich kids of Africa. Like, what happened? Take us back. What happened?
All right, let me start by saying the Naira was introduced in 1973. Yes, I was immediately after the Civil War. And when it was introduced then, I think the basic thing was the government saw the need to change after the Civil War, to change from the former currency we were using, which was the pound, to an indigenous currency, which can be able to say this is our identity, to the brought in the Naira. And Naira then was very strong, actually. At a point in time, Naira was even going as high as 68 kobo to $1. Yes. 68 kobo to $1. So I have to show you how strong the Naira was when it came on board. And we really enjoyed those days. But then, so many things has happened. So many waters have passed under the bridge.
If I tell that to a Gen Z, they are not going to believe it.
Definitely was told you. But I believe him, because I remember years back, I was playing in the sand and I picked 1 Naira. I was the happiest person because I know I bought a lot of things with 1 Naira.
Yeah.
But when you hear the story now, when you see what is happening now, the last time I saw 15 Naira in my house, I didn't see it as money. How did we get there? What happened then? What were our government doing then that Naira was the giant of Africa?
Yeah.
Naira could be compared with dollar. I'm even hearing that Naira was dollar was 68 kobo. How did we get there? What happened, sir?
All right. Back in those days, actually, if you look at Nigeria then, we found that Nigeria's economy was not based on one single item of export. We had so much to export then. Then Nigeria was really a good country when it comes to the agriculture. We had so many produce we are exporting. We had the oil, the palm oil, we had the cocoa, have the cashew, have the groundnut. So we found out that the country was booming because we are doing so much in export, basically agricultural produce. And then too, we found out that our local production was very strong, and we are basically relying on local production to be able to sustain ourselves as a country. So that really then was one of the major factors that helped Naira to be very strong then. So that was what happened. But right now, you find out the reverse is the case at the moment now. Naira has gone down because, one, we now shifted our focus from agricultural exports to oil exports, crude oil. Will I say crude oil? Will I say it's a cause? I wouldn't say it's a cause, but I believe it's one of the reasons why Naira fell, because of we're not dependent on the exportation of crude oil mainly, and we left agriculture, which was then sustaining us as a country then. And that's why we're here. And then also local in production also fell. In fact, most of our industries as at then have folded up. Most of them are moribund. And that's one of the reasons why Naira is where it is now.
Okay, but in the case of crude oil, I also know that we export crude oil, then import fuel. How does that make sense? What are you going to say about that? Because I believe once we export it and we have to now still buy again from them, Naira is dropping. What would you say about that? What do you have to say about that?
Yes. When it comes to crude oil, we're not the only ones that have crude oil.
Mm-hmm.
And we're not the major exporting country when it comes to crude oil. And crude oil's price is not being determined by Nigeria per se. So there are so many factors that affect the price of crude oil in the international market. So that means that the price of selling crude oil today can go lower than it is. As at today, as at this period now, the crude oil is about $63 per barrel. But at the time, it was as high as $100 per barrel. So you find that these fluctuations affect our revenue, because once the price of crude oil falls, our revenue falls, because we only solely depend on crude oil. But yeah, assuming we had other things we're also exporting, we find that even if the price of crude oil goes down, we also have other things we're exporting that are giving us more revenue as a country. So that's the issue we have. So going back to your question now, you find out that in Nigeria now, we not solely depend on imported PMS, petroleum products. We left our industries, which includes our refineries, to go moribund. We have the Warri refinery, the Port Harcourt refinery, Kaduna refinery. At the point, all of them went into comatose. None of them was functioning. And that means we have to now rely on importing petroleum products. I know as a country, there's no way the economy will be able to survive without petroleum products. All our transportation system runs on petroleum products. Even most of the energy we use in the industries, in terms of the diesel gen and all those things, they rely on petroleum products. And these are the things that drive the economy of the country. So because we rely on those things and we don't have the capacity again to produce locally, we now have to import. And when you're importing, you're also buying at the price whoever has refined it will sell to you. Meanwhile, you're not controlling the price of the crude oil you are selling out. So it leaves us at a disadvantage. Because we can't control any of these factors. We are selling crude oil at the price determined by the international market, and we're importing at a price determined by the producer. So that's the way Nigeria finds itself. And that's one of the reasons that our currency and our economy and our currency are suffering it so much.
Okay, let's also talk about dollar now. Nigerians, we are Nigerian. Our identity when it comes to currency is the Naira. But why is it that we have cases where some boutique, some even real estate company would be selling some of their products in dollars? Is that a good thing to be done in Nigeria? Are we supposed to make purchases be done in dollars? Is that good? Would that be good for our economy? Would that also affect the Naira itself?
Yes, to be frank with you, that's not a very good policy. That's not a very, very good omen for the country, because we cannot be in Nigeria and be using the dollar, another currency in Nigeria. In fact, the federal government has so many policies against that. There are some laws that makes it a criminal offense to trade in another currency apart from the Naira. But in fact, in Nigeria, well, I say most things we allow too many things to happen. Anything goes in Nigeria. That's one of the problems we have in this country. So people once you have the power, you have the resources, you can do as you like. But basically speaking, it's not a good omen. It's not a good thing to do, because you find out that you are weakening the value of the Naira by allowing others to not trade in another currency in your country. Now, and let me know, I'm not holding brief for those that do it, but they'll tell you that one, they bring in their investment in dollars. And by the time they convert it to Naira and trade in Nigeria, and the time they're moving it out, you find out that it has lost value because of the poor quality of the Naira. So they try to now to recover their money by also selling in dollar. But it's not a good thing. I think our federal government has to do a lot of that in monitoring such things to ensure that all these companies that do that are sanctioned the way they should be sanctioned, to deter other people from doing such. It really affects our economy so badly.
Well, thank you very much for that insight. You spoke about agriculture, like we're diversifying into agriculture. But are you saying that what we are doing now, we're not doing back then? What's the difference? Because people are still farming. So what's the
difference now?
Yeah, what's the difference?
Okay, yeah. If you look at what we are farming right now and our population now, you find out that it's not corresponding. Back then, with 1970s, we are not as much as 200 and something million Nigerians in this country. So whatever we could produce then could be able to serve us then. But now you find out that there are few people that are into farming. To be frank with us, let's go back to our villages and look at the young people in the villages. How many of them are really farming? It's left for the old men and women to farm. So you find out that what we are producing is not enough for the population of Nigeria that keeps increasing every day. Every day people are giving birth. You go to the hospitals, you keep hearing some women, yes. So we are not producing enough as we are doing then compared to the population we have now.
I personally am from Benue State. Benue State used to, because I will say it, used to be food basket of the nation. When you talk about agriculture now, what about insecurity? Just go into social media. Because I'm from Benue State, I see news about Benue a lot. If I just scroll 1, 2, 3, I'm going to see somebody died on his farm. So if you're asking us to go back to the farm, me, I won't even want to pass through the farm. Talk more of going to actually bend down and farm. So what are we doing? What should be done about insecurity? One. Secondly, it shouldn't be other things that Nigerians could actually export apart from farm produce. Since insecurity has become a problem, I sent money for my mom to get me some yams. And what she got, I almost cried because it wasn't. Years back, I would send 3,000. I would get more than that. But I sent almost 15,000. I didn't even get what I used to get at 3,000 from Benue.
Yes, when it comes to the issue of Nigeria, is a multifaceted problem, and I believe it also needs everybody to put hands together to solve that. When it comes to security, it's solely the responsibility of the government to do that. So that's why we have to employ everybody has to keep speaking up. Let the government take up their responsibility. We cannot be the ones to go and fight insecurity because we are not licensed to carry arms in this country. It's the government's full responsibility. So that's why we keep speaking up. Government should take up their responsibility because definitely, like you said, so with insecurity, nobody will go into the farm. You will not go to farm and then end up dying, losing your life. Nobody will want to do that. And it will really affect our production in terms of agriculture. So I think the government that's the responsibility of the government to take up that challenge and ensure that they bring security back to our farmlands so that people can go back to farm. And to your second question, yes, it's true. It's not just agriculture. The world, it keeps evolving every day. Innovations are coming up. There are some countries that don't even depend on farming. And even if we are depending on farming, like a country like Israel, they don't have good arable land like we have in Nigeria, but they produce so much. They export so much of agriculture. Why? Because they've infused technology into agriculture. So we must not rely on the old way of doing things. There are so many better ways of doing things through the use of technology. So I think Nigeria has to go back to that, bringing technology back into agriculture to do things better, bringing better breeds, better species of products. And also, we need to encourage our tech community. We have so many bright minds in this country that are producing so many fantastic ideas. And these are things that we can export. So many startup companies, so many fintech companies can be encouraged. And by the time they begin to grow and begin to go outside the shores of the country, it increases our revenue. And increases increases our economy, boosts our economy by increasing our reserve. So I think that's one thing the government can also do. Apart from also providing security for our farmers too, they need to encourage the young ones who are into tech.
Don't you think the central bank and the government needs to supply more money in terms of inflation and everything? Don't you think we need to supply more money?
All right. Let me explain what inflation. Inflation is all about so much money chasing fewer goods. That's the simple definition of inflation. When you have so much money, let me break it down. Like we are here now, you need to buy a bottle of water. I have 5,000. She has 2,000. You have 500. The seller may price it at 500. But beauty, I have excess money. I have 3,000. She has 5,000. I'm excited to say, okay, madam, I can give you a 600 or 700 because she knows I can afford it and she can afford it. She can increase the price. Why the price should have been 500, but because she knows that we have excess money, we can afford it, she increases the price, and that's inflation. We have so much money in the economy, pursuing fewer goods in the economy. That's what brings inflation. So basically, the CBN has a part to play in that, in the sense that, and unlike what they have done so far, the CBN has been able to manage inflation in the economy for the past few months. And if you watch now, it has become stable at the point now because they've been able to reduce the amount of money in circulation. Yes, they've been unable to do that. So that has kind of stabilized inflation, even though it's still high, but at least it's not increasing per month as we used to see last year. So by the time CBN begins to continue with what they are doing and doing very well, I believe inflation will come down with time, and then people will be able to see the impact of the CBN policies on the economy of the country.
Okay, quick one. Most times when you go to the market to buy, let's say this dress I'm wearing now, you will hear the pricing is usually high. And when you ask them, they always tell you that it's not just importing, it's the clearing. They have to clear these goods to come in, and most of the monies go into the clearing. In this case, I want to ask, should a policy be done in the place of the clearing the goods, or should we just be producing our things ourselves? Because I believe this dress can also be done in Nigeria. But okay, sorry, I'm going to ask this question a lot. This can also be done in Nigeria, but I've also seen people who also do these dresses in Nigeria, and their prices is almost the same thing as I will buy it from people who actually imported it. Sir, please clarify me on that.
All right. We all know that in Nigeria, let me not say in Nigeria, okay, economic-wise, the price of goods is determined by the different factors that come into the production. There are factors of production. Now, for whoever is a manufacturer, a producer in the country, let's be realistic. There's so many challenges they face in the country. We've talked about insecurity. We've talked of the high cost of power. Most of them can't even get public power supply. They have to depend on their diesel gen or fuel gen to be able to power their equipment. So by the time you consider all these factors, you find out that they are constrained to price their product at almost the same price as what we get imported.
Okay, before I forget, you made mention of buying local products. I've gone to the market where I want to patronize our local products, and the prices are, you can't even compare. It's almost the same with buying those foreign goods. So what's the cost of? That's why I was asking, what affects the woman that sells yam in the market? The yam are being produced here in Nigeria, and you go to price and they'll be showing you one piece of yam telling you 3,500. So I'm buying a local product produced in Nigeria. So what happened? Why is the price still high? And how do we now tackle that kind of problem?
All right, thank you. Let me start by saying this. For a locally produced product in Nigeria, when it comes to production, there are so many factors that come into production. Yes. And all these factors too depend on costs. What I would say have cost value. Now, for a manufacturer who produces tissue paper in Nigeria, he has to buy diesel to run those factories. He has to buy some other things, which are also some of them are imported. The machines are imported. Now, all these things are contributing costs to what he will now sell his product at the end. So by the time we begin to have our dollar, our Naira, have more value than the dollar, you find that the cost of importing all these things will be lower. And it will not be able to build it back into the cost of the finished product. So this is going to help our locally produced products to have be cheaper than the foreign imported ones. So I think what we need to do is, if our Naira begins to get value in terms of being stronger than the dollar, you find out that the cost of our locally produced goods will also begin to come down. And for the woman that sells the farm produce, like you mentioned the yam in the market, also don't forget that she also has to transport that yam from her farm to the market. And we know that the cost of transportation too, it affects, she has to build into the cost of the yam. And she too also has to pay rent in her house. She has to send her children to school. So when the market woman looks at the cost of all these things, she has to build into the cost of the yam she's selling, so she can be able to take care of her family too. So all these things contribute to the high cost of things in the market. So I think it is a general problem that all of us have to contribute to solve. Both the government, both the citizens, everybody has a role to play to be able to bring back Naira to its value. Thank you.
Collective effort of the government and also citizens. Very good, well said, sir.
Okay, it was really nice having you here, sir. And I must say, like I said before, this is really an eye-opening lecture. I have more information about the Naira itself and what we should do. I just hope the people, the government, the ones that are to do the policies, will watch this video and actually take some of our advice right here by our guests in the house. Thank you so much.
Oh, thank you very
Thank
much.
you very much. And I also like to add that let's see Naira as our symbol, as our identity. If a US citizen will not play with US dollar, he believes that's his own identity. By the time Nigerians begin to see Naira as our identity, begin to value Naira the way it is, you find out that we begin to change our mindset towards these things. By the time we begin to change our mindset, we begin to see a change in the way we handle things in this country. And by the time these things comes, we find out there will be a change in the value of Naira. Something else. Thank you.
So to everybody out there, I will encourage you, everybody, let's focus on agriculture. Let's diversify our economy.
Yeah.
Let's put our hands into other things. Let's avoid importation. Importation drags our Naira down. So kindly like our video and subscribe to get more notifications from us.
And also look out for the next episode. Thank you so much. And I remain your host, Esther Iyodose.
And I'm Sadhu Ita.
Thank you very much.